From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. High-profile speakers addressing 12,000 athletes, families, and supporters at the Invictus Games closing ceremony touched on war, politics, humanity, and sport. The 2025 installment of the Games, founded by Prince Harry, came to an end at Vancouver's Rogers Arena last night after a week of competition among hundreds of wounded or sick service personnel from 23 countries.
And as much as we wish these games weren't necessary, I understand why they are still needed, perhaps more than ever. It's because of the strength you give to the world.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau praised all the athletes, and without mentioning trade tensions sparked by the new Trump administration, he noted Canadians and Americans have values and a friendship that endures the test of time.
We have stood together for generations, and Canada and Canadians will never stop fighting for the friendship that unites our two countries through tough times and through the best times in the world. Americans are our friends.
Trudeau also addressed the Ukrainian athletes and drew a standing ovation when he said Canadians will be with them every step of the way until victory in their conflict with Russia. It's deadline day for the candidates in the federal Liberal leadership race to pay up.
The final $125,000 installment of a total $350,000 entrance fee is due by end of day, a high bar of entry for such a short race. The candidates are scheduled to square off in 2 debates early next week in Montreal. There are just 3 weeks left in the Liberal leadership race before the party selects its next leader, March 9th. David Bowles, The Canadian Press.
The leaders of Ontario's main political parties will reconvene at 6:30 tonight for a live studio debate, their second verbal sparring match to kick off the last 10 days of the province's snap election campaign. Environment Canada says the major snowstorm that dumped 30 or more centimeters on much of southern Ontario and western Quebec is slowly moving east. Conditions are improving around Montreal now, but forecasters say the worst is yet to come for southeastern Quebec, where 50 to 70 centimeters total was expected in the Gaspé region and in the St. Lawrence River Valley. And Canada's 3 prairie provinces are under extreme cold warnings, with wind chills making it feel like minus 40. And a celebration of 50 years of Saturday Night Live took place last night in New York. Steve Martin, one of the NBC show's most prolific hosts and guests since the first season in 1975, tried to keep it current in the monologue, even on a backward-looking night. Martin says the show's Canadian creator, Lorne Michaels, only offered up the opening monologue quite recently.
It was only a few days ago that Lorne told me I was doing the monologue, and I was actually vacationing on a friend's boat down in the Gulf of Steve Martin,
Martin was joined by former SNL luminaries and frequent host John Mulaney and Hamilton, Ontario's Martin Short. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, it's win or go home time. That's the scenario for Team Canada as it prepares to face Finland at 1 p.m. Eastern Time today at the Four Nations face-off in Boston. The Canadians, who have an overtime win and a loss in the best of best international tournament, can advance to Thursday's final against the unbeaten Americans with a win in regulation time against the Finns today. The U.S. plays Sweden in tonight's game. The NBA's All-Star Game mini tournament in San Francisco is over, with Shaq's OGs getting the win in the 4-team, 3-game event. The NBA gets back to work Wednesday with 1 game, then 9 on Thursday and 9 more Friday, including the Toronto Raptors hosting the Miami Heat. William Byron raced to his second straight Daytona 500 victory, surviving a string of late race wrecks that knocked out a chunk of contenders and sent the Hendrick Motorsports driver into victory lane Sunday night. Byron became the first back-to-back winner since Denny Hamlin in 2019-20. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.